Skateboarding is probably one of the hardest things you can learn how to do. Some tricks you really have to battle to land, and sometimes it can take so long to land a trick that you aren't even happy when you land it, and instead you're just mad that it took so long. With that said, not every trick is like that, and there's a lot of fun tricks out there that really aren't too hard to learn. In this video, we're going to go over a few tricks that are both easy to learn and still fun to do. It doesn't matter if you've been skating for 5 months or for 5 years, these are tricks that are easy regardless of your skill level and are still fun to do when you're just cruising around. If I left any good ones out, go ahead and share them in the comments. Be sure to leave a like on the video, and with that said, let's get right into it. To start off with, we have Slappies. Slappies are some of the funnest and easiest skateboarding tricks you can do because there's a ton of variations that you can learn, and as long as you can cruise around, you can most likely figure them out pretty fast. A slappy is really any kind of grind or slide that you lock into without popping your board. Typically they're done on a slappy curb, which can technically be any curb, but normally it's a curb that has a slight angle to it, and a lot of times they're also painted. The way you do a slappy can vary a little depending on what kind of grind or slide that you're trying, but usually all you have to do is ram your board into the curb, and physics pretty much handles the rest. I know it sounds weird and you might not think that it's going to work, but you kind of just have to trust that it will. Most people start out by learning slappy 50-50s, but realistically, you can do almost any grind or slide that you want. If you're having trouble learning them, just remember that you can do them on any curb that's grindable, but the more of an angle the curb has, the easier it is to slappy. The cool thing about it is that there's plenty of slappies that you can learn, and curbs are also a lot more common than something like a ledge or a flat bar, so once you learn how to do them, it can really open up some possibilities when you're cruising around. For some reason, there's a lot of people who have been skating for years and are really good at skateboarding, but just never learned how to slappy. And if you're one of them, then I definitely recommend trying to learn them because after I figured them out, they became one of my favorite tricks to do. Next up, we have no complies. It's pretty well known that no complies are some of the easiest skateboarding tricks you can learn, but a lot of people never learn more than 1 or 2 variations, which is kind of a shame because there's a ton of different no comply tricks you can do. If you happen to be a skateboarder with an Instagram account around 2017, you've most likely seen your fair share of no complies, but if you haven't, then just know that for almost every flip trick out there, there's also a no comply counterpart. Since no complies require you to step off the board with 1 foot, it does make certain flip tricks harder to do, but for the most part, there's a no comply variation for almost every standard flip trick. What really makes no complies such a fun skateboarding trick is how easy it is to get creative with them. Once you get the basics down, it's not too much harder to start adding in 180s, trying different kinds of no comply finger flips, or even doing no complies into grinds and slides. Even though they're usually done on flat ground, there's also ways to do them on most normal obstacles that you skate. It's just a really customizable trick, and it's also one of the easiest skateboarding tricks, so they can be a lot of fun to learn. Next, we have foot plants. As the name suggests, a foot plant is a skateboarding trick where your foot comes off of the board and is briefly planted on an obstacle before hopping back onto your board. There's a ton of different ways that you can do foot plants, and they have different names depending on the type of grab that you do into them, but they all revolve around the same idea. Foot plants can be done on a lot of different obstacles, which is part of the reason why they're one of the funnest skateboarding tricks you can do. They're mostly done on different types of transition, but sometimes people will also do them down gaps. Even though some variations can be a bit scary to learn, once you get 1 or 2 of them down, foot plants are actually one of the easiest skateboarding tricks you can learn. Most of it just comes down to commitment, so if you can get past that mental barrier, it's not too hard to learn how to do them. For number 4, we have Wallies. A Wallie is similar to an ollie, but instead of popping your board, you just ram it into an obstacle and use your forward momentum to push you up and over. It's an easy skateboarding trick to do even if you're a beginner, but it's also a fun trick to do regardless of how long you've been skating. Now, unlike some of the other tricks on this list, it can be a little hard to find a good Wallie spot, but if you get creative, you'd be surprised at the kind of things that you can Wallie. When it comes to actually doing one, you have to push your board into whatever obstacle you're trying to Wallie over, so it does help if it has a slight angle to it, but once you get them down, you can also do them on obstacles that are sticking straight up as well. It might seem a little sketchy at first, but Wallies are another one of those tricks that really just comes down to committing. After you learn normal Wallies, you can eventually learn Wallie 180s, or even Wallie into grinds if you find the right spot. Next up on the list, we have manuals. So right away, I will say that manuals can be super annoying to try, but at the same time, they're also some of the funnest skateboarding tricks that you can do. Not only that, but manuals can actually be a really easy skateboarding trick for people to learn. For the most part, manuals are a low impact trick. Depending on the spot, you might not even need to pop that high, and there's almost an unlimited amount of variations that you can learn. This makes them a really fun skateboarding trick because you won't get too broken off trying them, and you won't get bored doing the same variation over and over. Also, manual tricks are something that you can do on a lot of different obstacles. You can manual just on flat ground, you can manual on actual manual pads, you can manual on top of ledges, or you can even manual the top deck of a quarter pipe. Again, even though some manual tricks can take hours to land, they can also be a simple trick that you can do casually when you're cruising around. Number 6 on the list are nosebonks. A nosebonk is done by skating over an obstacle and slightly tapping the obstacle with your front set of wheels as you skate over it. This might make it sound like it's hard to do, but it's actually a really easy skateboarding trick, and they can be a lot of fun to do once you get them down. Once you learn them, it's one of those tricks that you can do casually when you're skating because you can most likely nosebonk pretty much anything that you can ollie over. It's a pretty straightforward trick, and most people stick to doing classic nosebonks, but there are ways to get creative with them if you want. For the most part, nosebonks are essentially just a simple mess around trick, which is why you don't see them very often, but once you learn them, they can be a lot of fun to do. For number 7, we have Powerslides. Now, to be honest, learning how to powerslide is in every skateboarder's best interest because it's the best way to slow down when you're going too fast. But aside from that, it's also just a fun trick to do when you're cruising around. Overall, powerslides are a pretty simple and easy skateboarding trick, but there are a few ways that you can get creative. The most common variations are just normal frontside and backside power slides, but you can also mix in reverts and do either a 180 or even a 360 power slide. Some people will get more creative and do blunts or nose blunt slides. They'll add in different types of shove-its, or if they're really good at them, they'll even do power slides into grinds. Power slides are definitely a lot easier to do on a smooth surface, but as long as you can roll on it, you should still be able to slide, even if the ground is rough. One thing I do want to mention is that if you skate soft wheels, they're much more likely to get flat spots, so it's better to skate harder wheels that are more durable. Also, speaking of durable, I want to thank Ridge Wallets for supporting the channel and sending me some of their heavy duty wallets to give away to you guys. All you have to do is comment on one of my videos over the next month, and I'm gonna pick a few winners to send some out to. For those who haven't heard of Ridge, they're a company that makes lightweight, sleek, industrial style wallets that are a much better alternative to the bulky leather wallets that most people have. It's really annoying skating with your wallet, and I've even had wallets wear a hole in my pocket, which is why I finally switched to a thinner option. Their wallets hold up to 12 cards, plus room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium, and they even have 40,000 5-star reviews. They have a lot of options to choose from, but I like the carbon fiber one, mostly because it looks cool, but also because it's super light, so I don't notice it as much when I'm skating. The wallets are so durable that they even come with a lifetime warranty, and you can even test one for 45 days, and if you aren't hyped on it, you can send it back for a full refund. You can get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/skatebox and use the promo code skatebox at checkout. Again, that's ridge.com/skatebox and use the promo code skatebox at checkout. Next on the list are early grabs. An early grab is any kind of grab trick that's done before popping your board. So for example, if you were doing one down a stair set, instead of doing an ollie, you would just grab your board and yank up. For the most part, early grabs tend to be done either down gaps or on various transition obstacles like kickers or quarter pipes. They're not the most popular trick, but every now and then you do see them. Early grab indie is the most common type of early grab, but technically there's an early grab counterpart for every normal type of grab. Now, even though it might seem like a silly trick, early grabs can be great for testing out a spot, and at the very least, they're a simple trick that you can have fun with. Sometimes people get caught up trying to land the hardest tricks possible, but a lot of times, the easiest tricks to learn just so happen to be the most fun to do. I'm not sure if I speak for everyone here, but a lot of the funnest sessions I've had were spent just messing around and doing stupid tricks. I've learned over the years that there's plenty of simple tricks out there that can be fun to get creative with, and not every trick you do needs to be a battle. If you guys have any suggestions of your own, go ahead and share them in the comments. Be sure to leave a like on the video, and with that said, thanks for watching.